This is Rev Don Lewis, coming to you from beautiful Florida. And as you will know if you follow our videos, this is my first vlog in rather a long time. I believe the last vlog was as long ago as April of last year, which has certainly been very unusual in the history of Rev Don's vlog. And the last video here at MagickTV, I believe, was in September, which is also rather unusual in the history of MagickTV. We've been doing video at YouTube since February of 2006, and before that as an independent platform, and I think this is the longest break that I have taken in putting up video during those years. But last year was a very busy year. There was a lot going on, and toward the end of the year I simply could not keep up with the video format on a regular basis. But as we start the new year, I want to get back to the vlog, and we are going to start today. And I've been doing this vlog since March of 2010, so it's just under 9 years old. And at first it was every single day. It was 7 days a week, and that was a bit of a grind. So after, I think, about 2 years, I knocked it down to 6 days a week, and then later 5. And for a long time it stayed at 5 days a week, and that's what I'm going to be aiming at as we reboot the vlog, and we'll see if we make it or not. However, in asking people what they'd like to see, a lot of people said they still want to see the question format, but some people also wanted to see longer discussions of different subjects, so we may have some of those as well. So I'm going to aim at returning to daily video, but I won't swear it will always be a vlog. And what I would like to ask of you, if you enjoy the vlog, is to give me some questions that I can speak to. I do have a few to start out with, and we will get back in the saddle, as it were. As for myself, today is a very special day for me, as I said, but the actual celebrations of the anniversary will be at the Spring Lustration in May. And if you're interested in attending the lustration, you can find out more at Correllianlustration.com. And the lustration will be held in Danville, Illinois, the birthplace of the Correllian Tradition, and also the place where the investiture 40 years ago took place, although it will not be in the same building, which I don't think is still standing. It was 40 years ago today, a cold February day, and on that day Lady Crystal was invested as First Priestess, and immediately after I was invested as First Priest. It was substantially the same ceremony that you saw with the investiture of Lady Stephanie as First Priestess a few years ago, but in much more humble circumstances. At that time, the entire tradition could pretty much fit in one room, at least in terms of its active members, and it has come a long way since. Today, we're all over the world, and Correllianism has expanded in some amazing ways, as has the pagan community in general. If you were to go back to 1979, you would see, I think I would say, a less diverse pagan community, although that's not entirely true, perhaps a less integrated pagan community. And I think that you would also find, in some ways, a less contentious pagan community, but that just might be my personal experience. I didn't really run into contentiousness in the community really until the 1990s. I do know in some places it certainly predated that, but in my own experience, my first roughly 13 years as First Priest of the tradition was spent in a fairly stable situation with people who were friendly and liked to work together. And the idea that there were rabid witch wars going on would have been a bit of a shock to me, although I did see kind of some of them on the horizon, but I wasn't involved in those things, and therefore didn't really pay a lot of attention. I thought they were anomalies rather than a common thing. In the 90s, I found out how common witch wars could be, and one of the things that I set out to try to establish last year for myself in terms of future direction of the tradition is, how is the community functioning now in terms of witch wars? And what I found is that most of the people I talked to very strongly wish to avoid a recurrence of what we would call the identity wars of the 90s and 2000s. They are wanting to work together toward a better future, even when they have significant differences in point of view. And I found that to be very reassuring. In September of last year, we did the Global Wicca Summit, which involved a wide range of personalities from many different traditions. You will find most of that at paganstonight.com, some of it here at MagickTV.com, some of it in other places. It was across many different formats, but it was a very positive experience, and people coming from different backgrounds did not have issues with each other. They were able to agree to disagree, which I don't know that you would have seen so much of that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but I find it very reassuring to see it now. And I think that some of the more divisive elements in the community may have burned themselves out, which certainly would be a good thing for the future, because we are not what you would call a large and powerful community. We really don't need deep divisions separating us, at least in my opinion. So, to sum up, I am going to have a lovely day. I hope you do as well. And if you have questions you would like to submit to the vlog, please do. And I will be using questions from last year to begin, and we'll go forward with our accustomed question and answer format with occasional longer form discussions. Thank you, and until next time, may you blessed be. Please join me for our Correllian Peace Prayer. I pray for peace. I pray for love. I pray for stability. I pray for the nation where I live. I pray for the world.